The Loyalty Leaders Podcast is brought to you by Loyalty Summit, coming up in Chicago on September 10th and 11th, 2025. Loyalty Summit brings together high-powered travel industry executives and influential loyalty leaders from around the globe. Join us in Chicago for senior-level discussions and networking. For more information, visit loyaltysummit.com. Welcome to episode 61 of the Loyalty Leaders Podcast. On episode 61 of the Loyalty Leaders Podcast, Tommy Danielsen chats with Christian Kamhaugabout about all things Nordic loyalty. They delve into the significance of breakfast in Nordic hotels, the recent changes in SAS's ownership and strategy, and the introduction of new aircraft to enhance SAS's operations. The conversation highlights the competitive advantages and challenges faced by hotels and airlines in the region, as well as the implications for customer experience and loyalty programs.
I'm joined by my old friend from Norway, where I grew up, Christian Kamhaugabout, who runs the Flypodden, which is a Norwegian, very successful Norwegian podcast that covers the industry. Welcome to the show, Christian.
Well, thank you, Tommy. Looks like we have a Swedish theme today with you in blue and me in yellow.
Exactly, and we like Swedish people and everything they stand for.
More or
every
less.
Once in a while. All right, so we're going to talk a little. It's going to be a little bit of a Nordic flair this week, chatting a little bit about what's happening in the Nordics. It's been an interesting couple of years with both the major airlines in the Nordics, Norwegian and SAS, going through Chapter 11 and coming back with a vengeance. We're not going to talk about that, but we're going to talk about a little bit about, for those who've been to the Nordics, a staple of things has been that when you stay at a hotel in the Nordics, you always get a free breakfast, and a substantial breakfast. It's actually the hotels the majority of the hotels in the Nordics, they take this breakfast very seriously, and there's big competitions and prizes and awards last year of who has the best breakfast. And now that appears that for the first time in history, the international chains have been charging for breakfast for a while, but now that appears to be changing with Scandic dropping a bomb this week.
Yeah, that was kind of a surprise because like you said, the hotel breakfast is a staple of Nordic hotel stays, and especially for Scandic, which has been using that as kind of a competitive advantage, being winning these breakfast awards year after year. To see them unbundling the breakfast, so to speak, is a bit surprising.
Yeah, and it surprised me as well with Scandic Nidelven in Trondheim winning best breakfast like many times, and
I think they're like the best breakfast in the Nordics, probably hotel breakfast at least.
And very proud of it. And you can still get that free breakfast, but you have to pay for it. And, unbundling is something we are very familiar with and have a lot of data on. The claim here is that this is what the customer wants. They don't want to pay. Not everybody wants to pay for breakfast. And this is
We've
a way
heard that argument before, haven't we, Tommy?
Yeah.
Back in the day, nobody wants to pay for, no, you don't want to pay for bags if you're not using them,
Exactly. Yeah. It's the old song and dance. And everybody says that it'll be cheaper to fly, right? Or it will be cheaper to stay in a hotel, and now that they don't have to pay for breakfast. But so far in the history of the world, that has not been true.
Yeah, and I've heard that argument saying people that I'll be happy with paying for breakfast if that means my hotel room will be cheaper. But I'm guessing the hotel rooms will not be a lot cheaper than what you have to pay for the breakfast anyway. It's like back in the day when everybody's it's going to be interesting to see what the other hotel chains are doing. Scandic might just be the first one out, and back in the day, a lot of airlines said we'll never charge for bags, and now even Southwest are charging for bags.
They are, and it's an interesting start that just came to the U.S. with that. We've had some initial responses, and at the end of the day, we know that our friends over at Strawberry, with Petter Stordalen being the big honcho over there, and for those who don't know, it's very eccentric Norwegian billionaire who likes to stay at the most expensive hotels in the world and fly private planes and rent yachts for vacations and things like that, as one should. He is also known for not being the guy who's easiest on the money when it comes to it's a little bit cheap. Specifically, Strawberry has done something that the other hotel chains have not. They are ending breakfast during the week at 9:30 a.m. and they say, well, we have a block. The buffet can't be more out for a longer period of time. Blah blah blah. The reality is that the breakfast goes from 7 to 9:30, and the loss is 3 hours. So at the end, and also the food will, of course, be at a busy hotel when everybody has breakfast included, will be replenished many times between those 2 hours. But they have said this week that they have absolutely no plans. Breakfast is a part of our product. Blah 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 blah.
Yeah, let's see.
How much do you want to bet that that's going to change in the next year?
I'm not gonna bet on that, Tom, because I think it's gonna happen. We've seen this. This is like normal in other countries. In outside of the Nordics, there's not a free breakfast to be found.
Right.
And like I said, the airlines did the same thing. We're gonna see the hotels unbundling. What's next? Are they gonna charge us for the gym? Are they gonna charge us for? I was in a hotel in Luxembourg just a few weeks ago where they would charge you for cleaning during your stay.
Right.
I mean, you get a clean room, and you get a clean room when you leave. But if you wanted the room cleaned during your stay, you have to pay for it.
That's interesting. I think those are outliers, but we also know that Strawberry tried to charge money for using the pool at Hotel Copenhagen or at Villa Copenhagen. They walked that back, and you're allowed to use it for 1 hour each day of your stay. But I just told you before we started recording that I stayed at Hotel Sommerø, which was a fantastic hotel stay. And the breakfast there was out of this world.
I've had it, and it's super. It's a la carte. It's fantastic.
Right. So you have both. You have a la carte in addition to the buffet. And that room is so gorgeous. It's it's a spectacular venue. And they've done a really good job fixing up that hotel. But you have to pay to use both the indoor pool and the outdoor pool there. If you want to use it yourself, it's 250 and 350 kroner to use the pool.
Ooh, okay.
So that's good to know. But anyways, but looking at Scandic Friend, there's a way out with loyalty and Scandic Friends. And I guess I didn't notice it, or it didn't compute in my brain. I think Scandic has been planning and scheming this for a long time, because they came out with this new loyalty program that is a minefield of confusion. First of all, having 7 tiers.
How many? Yeah, 7 tiers. That's fantastic.
That's idiotic, and it just makes it really fun for people to not know what. Like, you looked up what tier you were. I don't even know what I am. I know what I had before, but I don't know where I'm at. I think I'm loyal friend now. After
and what does that mean?
Right, and you're a true friend, and that means
I'm a true friend.
Yeah, so true friend means that you always will get free breakfast, while loyal friend, which I am, it says in the terms here that you get 2 for 1 breakfast. So for $14, myself and my wife can go and have breakfast at a hotel with Scandic after these changes. So there is
I can even get breakfast without staying there, apparently.
That's an interesting benefit. And I also talk with, I'll link it for those on YouTube. I'm going to link the interview in the description, where Eurobonus, I was talking to Aron Bäckström, who is the head of Eurobonus and also of product with SES. I met him in London at the Loyalty Summit there at the beginning of June. And he was talking about how excited they are for this benefit, where SAS Diamond members get True Friend, a status match, and which has obviously boosted the number of true friends. And you can go to your local hotel as many times as you want and have breakfast anytime that you want. And it's now there's a breakfast club. Bergen is known as the Netherlands of Norway, where all the cheapskates lives. And there's a club there of frequent flyers that on a regular basis now meets up at Hotel Nordic to have breakfast together in the morning.
That's funny.
Yeah.
That's funny.
So that's will it. So, but in all honesty, Radisson is kind of on the decline in the Nordics. They haven't really had any development with new properties, and they've lost quite a few properties in the last few years. They don't have the coverage that they used to have back in the day when they were an SAS hotel, and then Radisson SAS hotel, and then later. And they have had unbundled the breakfast like 3-4 years ago, and it didn't
really?
take.
Yeah.
They did, yeah. They unbundled it 3 or 4 years ago, and their top level now includes breakfast for two. It used to be only include breakfast for one, and that has changed. You know, they because they had breakfast for one because it was global, but now it is for two. It's been for a while since they changed their loyalty programs 3 years ago. So
I stayed at Radisson for a while then.
Yeah, and exactly. But at the end of the day, I think it's the breakfast culture in Norway. It's going to end up with if you have to pay for it, and a lot less people are going to show up. Now it's only $14, so which is kind of cheap.
It's not bad,
right? It's 150 kroner, which is about $14. So that's the price. So I don't think it's going to fall off a cliff just yet, but. The first check bags were $15. Now it's $35 and $45. So if it starts to get more expensive, that means that you can say goodbye to the big buffets, because it won't be sustainable if only a handful of people are going to be buying it. So that's the downside to this. All right. So also we've heard last week a couple of news, and after when SAS exited Chapter 11, the ownership, you had the Danish government was the only government left of the Scandinavian governments owning a piece. It was 25%,
20, yes,
20-something% of the, and the reason why Denmark decided to be in there is because Copenhagen Airport is the largest employer in Denmark, and with that in mind, it seems like a strategic investment. But the interesting part was that Air France KLM Group decided to take in ownerships in the 20s as well, with an option to be a majority owner of 61-point-something% at a later time. And they chose to exercise this right this week or last week. And we're now talking that they're in the 60s, or the transaction is not done, but they will be in the 60s. So a majority owner, which is substantial news for SAS. And it happened a lot faster than we expected, didn't it?
Yeah, it did. Ben Smith said that at the offset that they wanted to be a majority owner, and then it put SAS into the Air France KLM group and developed Copenhagen as the third hub for the group.
Right.
And but there was never a timeline on it, and so the announcement that came last week that they were going to start working on that was. A bit earlier than we thought, but it's great. I mean, for SAS and for passengers, I think being a full member of the Air France KLM group can only be a positive thing.
Yeah, definitely is going to spur some growth, and we've seen that SAS has been lost in the fog when their long haul strategy for as long as both of you and I have been alive, with having 3 hubs and 12 airplanes is kind of insanity. And I actually flew JFK to Oslo 3 weeks ago, and it was on an Airbus 321, which there were a lot of people on standby. They didn't make it. Let's just leave it at that. So but I took that flight because it was the flight that went to Oslo, and it has changed a lot with that. But still, there are 2 more 350s coming in, so 14 long haul planes. The majority of them now, thankfully, are flying out of Copenhagen. But I would say that, the potential is, the caption area for Copenhagen is just as good as Amsterdam. So,
yeah, I mean, if you look at Norway, Sweden, Denmark, parts of Finland, parts of northern Germany, you're talking 25-30 million people.
Mm-hmm.
And it's they've got space. Unlike Paris and Amsterdam, there's space in Copenhagen for development, and even in Oslo and Stockholm as well, if you want to do the minor secondary hubs. And SAS has a small fleet, but quite heavy on the North Atlantic. You're looking at the destinations they have now. Canada, New York, Washington, Boston, Miami, LA, San Francisco, Atlanta, Chicago.
Seattle just came back.
Yeah, Seattle. So it's quite a lineup on the Atlantic, and with being part of Air France KLM, and Ben Smith has said that unlike in the Star Alliance years, SAS would be part of the Air France KLM Delta Virgin North Atlantic Alliance or joint venture or whatever that Lufthansa would never let SAS into in the Star Alliance days.
Mhm.
So that's going to be great for the North Atlantic and for the long haul hub.
Yeah, I think so as well. I think that with the other thing that Copenhagen has going for they have a government that has an appetite to develop their airport, while Amsterdam or the Dutch government have said this is enough. We're not going to have any more flights from here.
And that's also part of why the Danish government is there. And the SES just announced that they're going to do Delhi from next year. And there's a lot of potential for feed into the Copenhagen hub from not just the Scandinavian countries, but looking at Germany, Poland, the Baltics, Central Europe. I mean, you can draw a line around the airports in Copenhagen and Paris and Amsterdam and see where would it make the most sense to traffic people through.
Yeah, absolutely. And we know that originating in London and originating in Paris and originating in Amsterdam, you will get a much better deal if you do a hop before and after. So a lot of people do that, and it's where would you want to connect? Would you prefer to connect in Copenhagen or at Charles de Gaulle? That's goes without saying.
It's Copenhagen hands down any day.
Right, exactly. It's exciting to see, and obviously, but the thing there's been a lot of discussion. What will happen to SAS Eurobonus? So we have three constellations now with the Lufthansa Group doing their thing. They have chosen to have one program for the airlines that they own. So Austrian and Swiss and Brussels, they have Miles and More being their loyalty program, while the group that with IAG being an IAG loyalty being a commercial company that includes partnerships like companies with standalone loyalty programs like Aer Lingus and Finnair and Qatar. They have the currency of Avios, but they don't have one loyalty program. Air France KLM, they haven't really evolved yet into that space, but Air France and KLM has Flying Blue as their loyalty program. And the big question is, will Flying Blue be the new Eurobonus?
And if you ask me, I'd say yes. I mean, since the whole process with KLM coming in to be part owner, I think SAS has been, as a PR man myself, I think that their communication around the Eurobonus and the future Eurobonus program has been lacking, so to say. I think there wouldn't be any reason to keep Eurobonus as a separate entity when they become part of the Air France KLM group. I mean, Flying Dutchman was a great program. Nobody remembers them anymore.
I remember.
Yeah.
But
And
I remember that. I remember
the Air
Herbert
France
Verschuren, who
program
was the boss of that program. He was a cool guy.
But I think what we'll see now it's going to be a couple of years down the line, but I think we're going to see an alignment of small changes in the Eurobonus program that will align it more and more with Flying Blue, and then one day it's going to be fait accompli, and it's going to be Flying Blue all the way, I think.
Right. Yeah,
and that's not a bad thing.
I think that the difference is that Eurobonus has done in the latter year. They're kind of like one of the only OGs left that has kind of still the same earning structure, the same qualification structure. So while there's one left in the U.S., which is Alaska Airlines, they have their OG original style loyalty program. It's inevitable that it will change for sure. Not 100% sure if they're going to abandon the brand, but most likely I agree. And the conversations I've had have been very quiet. Nobody's talking about it yet. So it feels to me that it's a different structure, and we also know that Eurobonus has a lifetime status, which is their gold, so mid-tier.
I know.
It start
I'm 10 months away.
Right, there you go. So it won't happen in 10 months, so you're good to go. But the question is, so Air France or Flying Blue has platinum, which is a higher tier. It's their official top tier. You know, they have a more higher tier above that, which it requires it's the same as On Circle and a very high number of flights and stuff called Ultimum over that. But
Is that like the Pandion?
no, it's not invitation only. It's more like Diamond, all right, or between Diamond. It's attainable. It's like On Circle, I would say. It's not as difficult at On Circle, but it's a lot more difficult than SAS Eurobonus Diamond. So it's between the two of those. But it has a published target that you have to do in order to get to that level. And it's not a crazy number. I would have done it for probably, I try to, when you are I'm now in my early 50s. So I have cut back on my flying significantly. And also am oblivious to who I fly with. But I could have done it back in the days, and you could have done it also, probably now also. You still fly quite a bit for work. And, but I think that you have a mid-tier for SAS lifetime, and then you have a top tier with Flying Blue that's lifetime. How are they going to handle that? It might be that the Eurobonus member will get a freebie and get a much higher tier with Flying Blue.
Well, I'm crossing my fingers.
Yeah.
But, you know, there's a lot of other good things about being part of the same program. You know, it's going to be easier to redeem tickets. It's going to be easier to do, upgrades. And, you know, I think at the end of the day, SAS being part of Air France KLM group, it wouldn't make sense to have a separate loyalty program for the 8 million of us up here.
Right. Yeah, I think you're right. But you know, there's going to be some significant changes, like the bidding that SAS has. SAS, I didn't know that they used Plus Grade before, but they have built their own bidding system for getting upgrades. That'll obviously go away. And Air France KLM, or Flying Blue you'll get an offer on their website, and that's how you do upgrades. And then you use it's not a bidding process. It's if a business is open. And it also is, for me, I have a low tier with Air France KLM. If you don't have any status at all, you are getting a better offer than people who have status. So it's really the American style things, and also there, you know, the surprise and delight things that gives you hey, we've upgraded you today because we have room and we like you. That is obviously going to go away. So it'll definitely be a change in the structure. The last thing I want to cover, we're almost out. We're actually out of time, but we're going to do it a little bit. So with this happening at the same time, SAS has announced their first major purchase of aircraft since the 90s. And it is 45 firm order plus 10, so 55 airplanes total of the 195 E2. Which is an Embraer that has about 90 to, depending, so 85 to 100 seats, depending on the configuration. Is SAS now moving towards what?
I think the SAS version is like 130, because this is the big one. You know, this is the
really?
Embraer that you guys are never going to see in the US because it's too heavy and it's outside of the scope clause.
Right.
I think I saw 136 seats. Because it's a long bird, the 195 E2,
Right?
And you know, everybody loves the E2. I mean, it's, you know, for the passenger, it's 2x2 and no middle seat. You know, who doesn't love that? From an airline operations side, it's, you know, it's not as big as the A320 Neos, and it's not as small as the CRJ90s, and it's got range that covers all of Europe. So for SAS, perfect. And you know, it burns 25-30% less fuel than others. So, you know, it's good for the environment. It's good for the bank. It's a perfect airplane.
Right. So with that in mind, yeah. Well, I'm going to arrest you a little bit there. You know what's better than having 2 + 2? Not having somebody next to you when you're traveling alone. And SAS will, of course, sell both seats like KLM does. They will sell
Yeah,
both seats
probably
in
on that
business
one.
class. And I was just like a month ago, I was sitting there talking to the happiest guy on the planet that finally business class is coming back to SAS, and you're not going to have anybody next to you, and it's going to be really snuggly up there in business class when you get somebody next to you for sure.
You know, I'm a company man that always flies the cheapest, so I hardly ever sit up there unless I spring for an upgrade myself. You know, but it's gonna. I think it's a perfect airplane. It's a big chunk of chunk of the fleet that's gonna be this airplane, and it's
Yeah,
gonna
are they getting rid of any? They're getting rid of some airplanes though, right? The CRJ
it's
900.
no, apparently they're keeping those and the ATRs because they're smaller and they're wet lease, so they're more flexible in terms of where they can use them and how they can use them. But apparently they're only going to replace the aging ERJ, the E195s that they already have. I think that's like 13
Right.
older versions, the E1, if you may, and the rest is for growth, for building the Copenhagen hub. So you're going to see these
So do
guys
you
to
really think
Germany
that
and
having a plane with that few seats is going to be a good plan? I mean, the
yeah.
319s that SAS has about 150 seats. The 320 has 175, 176.
Yeah, but these are going to be perfect because they're going to be flown not by mainline, so they're going to have a different
So SAS Connect,
or link, or I forget which one of them is. It's the same one
SAS.
that flies.
So SAS Link has 12 E195.
Yeah, so there's going to be flown by link then. On a
Right, you're right.
different
It has the
tier structure.
195
Yeah,
has typical configuration for the E2 is 120 seats, and SAS has 122 on the E195.
yeah, 122. Yeah, so it's around that. But
Right.
you're going to see them on shorter or less frequent domestic flights. You're going to see them to Poland. You're going to see them to Germany. Dusseldorf, perfect situation. I think you're going to, and they're going to open up a lot of new routes out of Copenhagen, and they're also going to be able to increase frequency. Where you fly 1 or 2 A320s now, you can fly 2 or 3 or 4 daily frequencies with the E95. And be a lot better in terms of feeding into the banks at Copenhagen for connection flights. So I think they're going to be delivered from like 2027. So I'm hoping that they're getting some more planes before that.
Right. What are you thinking about for long haul planes for SAS? Do you think they're going to order like 10, 20 more 350s and 330 Neos?
I think they're gonna. I think I heard Uncle once said talk about the A321 Neos, the XLRs as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I think you're gonna see a mix of the A350 for the long and heavy ones, and then you might see more A321 Neos, either the LR or the XLR. I mean, with the XLR you can fly. I think you should be able to fly to Houston or something.
Yeah, I've flown a 737 MAX from Boeing Field to
yes,
Oslo, but that was just 16 people.
It was different.
But
Yeah, but
so it's obviously possible.
I
The comfort on the 321 LR that I flew from JFK to Oslo is fine. It's not an ideal or modern business class by any sense. The premium is actually, I think, is the sweet spot on that plane. It's only 3 rows and 2+2, which makes it a very comfortable domestic, much more comfortable than the domestic first seats we have here, because it has a leg rest and it has a lot more room. And for a flight that's 6 hours and some change, that's the same as LA to Boston.
Yeah, I also heard that the business class on the CS A321 LRs is not as good as for the wide bodies, but the plus is super great for that money. And sooner or later Asia is going to open up again. The war is going to end, and you're going to be able to fly to China again and Japan without flying halfway around the world.
Yeah. It seems like a lot of positive things are happening up in the Nordics. And like I said, I think the only thing that's holding us back, I think the positive direction that SAS has been going in is surprising. And it's also something that is encouraging. If it wasn't for all the unrest in the world and all the various political things happening right now, I think it would be even more so. So it's a little bit discouraging with that, but a lot of good to see in the future.
Yeah, and finally, after 60 odd years, they have an owner with money and a plan, right?
A plan and professionals who were even if somebody was able to clean up Air France, then I think SAS cleaning up SAS and making that profitable is small potatoes.
Yeah. So all looking positive outlook on all these things, and I still get breakfast on Scandic, so I'm fine.
There you go. Good to hear. With that, we're going to end our conversation this lovely Friday. Thank you, Christian. Always a pleasure speaking with you. And we will.
Thanks, Tommy.
Yeah.
I'll enjoy my Norwegian heat wave. It's in the high 70s here, so woo.
And we're going to have 103 here today, which for those in Europe, for those international who work in science and fly to the moon and things like that, that is 18 to 20 degrees for Christian and 42 for me, which is a little bit too much. Enjoy your weekend, and thanks everybody for dialing in. And we will catch you next week.
Thanks for joining us on the Loyalty Leaders podcast. Join us for the next episode every Tuesday.